What's up, guys? This is Mel from Mel B's Tea and a Cup of Joe. And this is today's podcast. The topic today is open relationships. If not now, then when? If you're not following us on social media, please be sure to look us up on YouTube under the name Mel B's Tea and a Cup of Joe. We're also on iTunes, Spotify, where we're actually hosting this podcast right now on Spotify's Green Room. And we're also on Podbean, as well as Facebook. So make sure you follow us. Hey guys, what's up?
Hey Mel, hey Joe.
What's going on, ladies? How y'all doing today? How's your weekend going?
It's
Well, today is Monday,
Monday?
so the weekend
Exactly. I'm
is
like,
over and done.
exactly. I wish I can go back. I need another weekend.
Yeah, I can't relate because I'm usually off on Mondays, so this is like technically my weekend.
Well, happy weekend, Joe. But my
Yes, rub it in, why don't you, Joe?
but my weekend was good. I relaxed as always. I've been taking my time, chilling out.
It was all a blur. I don't even know what day it is. I guess today is Monday. Tomorrow will be Friday. Then it'll be Monday again. So that's pretty much life when you hit middle age.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. You know, we still gonna make it do what we do on
Are
a
we having a midlife
It's pending. It's pending, you know.
loading?
special.
Yeah, so I was just telling our listeners today's topic. Today's topic, open relationships. If not now, then when? We're not going to say who's responsible for this topic or who came up with it, because of confidentiality purposes and all of that. So, who would like to take a stab at what exactly how do we take this question? First of all, like, what does it mean to us individually? And then we can unpack.
Well, I'll set it off. Take the initiative. Set it off. We are going to. There's a thing going on now, and me being a guy, where there is women out there who are almost accepting the fact that there's a shortage of men out here. And I seen a video also where a woman said, why not have your man dealing with another woman and bringing another woman into the relationship if it benefits everyone? So I just think that, do y'all think as women that there's a shortage of men?
I don't
I have to, sorry.
I don't think there's a shortage of men to the point where we have to share. I think that there is a lack of availability to them due to like personal issues that women and both women and men have when it comes to dating, trust issues, all of those things. So people are guarded when it comes to dating and being in relationships. So I feel like that whole open relationship thing gives you kind of like leeway to just be fluid and don't have that 100% commitment. So you're protecting your heart at the same time you're getting something out of it.
I was gonna, kind of agree with B in the sense that I don't believe that there's a shortage of men. What I do believe is that a lot of women are going for the same types of men, which may lead us to believe that there's a shortage. So if we're all going for the same guy and there's only one penis attached to that guy, then there's going to be multiple women
Only
that are going to, yeah, unfortunately he only has one. It would be nice if he had multiple, and then we wouldn't be so territorial. But I will say that preferences definitely plays a role in how we look at the options that are available to us, and if we're kind of closed-minded, that could also lead us to believe that there's a shortage. But what do you think, Joe? Do you think it's a shortage of men out here? I mean, I know you're a guy, but do you feel like there's more women than men?
Definitely, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't, of course, I don't date guys, but I can, from what a lot of the women I've been speaking to, especially when I used to be online dating, there was just a thing where they felt like there's not enough quality men out here. And just not even so much, oh, you got to be six figures and all this other good stuff. But for the most part, just even doing the basics, you know what I'm saying? They can't find the basics out of a dude. And then also, is a growing homosexuality population, and then you got to deal with that, and then then pretty much there's the ones that are married. So, so my thing is like for a situation like we could easily attack the fact that all right, a man is married and he shouldn't be bringing another person in their relationship, but is that a society thing?
This is a judge-free.
is is that a society thing, or is that something that is that something that that shouldn't really be happening? And I think that with some women, they feel like that if you're not if you're not technically married, then you should pretty much be you're still a bachelor. So what are your thoughts on?
Um, if you're not married, you're still a bachelor. So that's the thing with relationships. Once your emotions get involved, you can't tell how to gauge the rage. No, you can't tell how to gauge how jealous or territorial. You don't know how you're going to be in that relationship. So I can't really say now at this age dating. I would say if you're in a committed relationship, then you should just be in a committed relationship. So there's no bachelor, there's just me and you. How are you going to grow in a relationship with someone if you're still seeking other people and having sex with other people? Because that's what it's about. It's not about um, conversing with them and hanging out with them. It's about sex. When it comes to this polygamy type of relationship, men always say, "Oh, we can bring in, another income, stuff like that." But if that's the case, we need to bring in a man, because a man is really what's going to bring in the income. But I never really hear that. I always hear it as a second wife or a third wife, but it's never a second husband or a third husband. So back to the original question with the whole bachelor, being a bachelor until you're married, I don't think that I don't in my relationships, no. If we're committed and we're working towards something more serious like marriage, then there's no bachelor in the relationship. It's a commitment.
I mean, I think that's what the biggest problem with, the whole open relationship idea. A lot of the times, and this is no slight to you, B, but a lot of the times we believe that we own someone once we're in a relationship with them. And I do believe that we have to have, a high level control of our emotions, because we can't let someone else's behavior dictate how we're going to behave and how we're going to move, and respond to certain situations. But I think when we look at love as like this thing that is possessive, and this is something that I've struggled with in the past too, because y'all know I'm a Taurus, like everything is mine, mine, mine. But when I've, even just explored the idea of polyandry, not polygamy. But when I explored the idea, it made me think about like why would I have an issue with my man loving someone else or bringing someone else into the relationship? Like, what's the story behind that? And it's always leads me back to some type of insecurity. Like, I'm afraid that, you know, and this is not me personally, but just, thinking from that place of insecurity, it usually comes from thinking that the other woman has something that I don't. Maybe she has better sex with him, or they have better chemistry, or he loves her more, all these things. And I think that's what scares people about open relationships, because they feel like there's a possibility that someone could come in and take your partner away and you'll be kind of left holding a bag. But I just wonder if only people that are completely secure within themselves would be the only people that could actually pull this off. Because if you have those insecurities of feeling like, okay, this thing could end and he could just like leave me for her or him, then it's not going to work at all. Like you're going to be living in fear. You're constantly going to be worried about, jealous, and worried about things that don't even matter, as opposed to focusing on the connection that you have with him or her.
I agree 100% with everything you said. So, there's no pushback. That is something that I guess I can't even say that's who I am. That's who I am right now as a person.
Most people, most
Right.
women.
Most people are like that. We allow other people to control our emotions. Like, it's hard to separate the two. We lead with emotions a lot. I lead with emotions. Even when I'm having a conversation and I'm excited about it, I can control it, but I don't control it. I allow my emotions just to flow. Same thing with relationships. So I definitely like that you brought that up, that you can't gauge, you shouldn't be able to gauge your emotions based off of someone else's actions. You only can control your own actions, and you can't control other people's. So I like that.
Yeah, because if you think about it, we don't really know the intentions behind someone's actions. What if their intention is to trigger us because they know our insecurities? So are we gonna give them what they want? Like, no. If I'm leading my life like worrying about what someone else is doing, I'm depriving myself of joy because I'm constantly going to be affected by another person, as opposed to like just regulating my own shit. And I think that's the problem with open relationships. Why people have such an issue with it is because they don't have that ability to regulate their own shit. They thinking about all the other possibilities, like, the other woman, how he's interacting with her or him, and what are they doing when I'm not around? They having fun without me? Like, it's like all of these different thoughts that's going through your mind that, you're literally causing your own anxiety just by focusing on other people.
No question about it. And man, you hit on some great areas on this topic too. Also too, I was gonna make a point out that I know like a lot of people who are like religious, that they tend to bring a lot of stuff out the Bible, but there are parts in the Bible where men had multiple wives, and they never want to bring that part up. You know what I'm saying? And they be like, "Oh, that don't apply to this time period." You know what I'm saying? But you want to apply other stuff from there to this time period. So and I was just wondering, like, when did that art get lost? Because I've never seen um I never seen where they ever mentioned about, okay, Jonah was with Mary and Jane, and then they started beefing and having fights in the Bible. They just had families. The families grew, and they made got wealth out of it, made kingdoms out of it, and you know what I'm saying. And I think I'm just trying to see how did that get lost in translation through the years, or through the centuries, I should say.
Financially, men back then, they were hunters, they were providers, they could build a house or ark. They can do all these different things. They hunted for the animals,
You
brought
said
them
an
home,
ark.
cooked.
They built the ark.
I was thinking Noah's Ark. Listen, I can't get biblical because I do not know that side. But anyway, they were very resourceful. And women bear children. They stayed home. They taught the kids at home. So the times definitely have changed. As far as open relationships, that's something to explore now more differently. If, like you said, it was a financial goal. If it's just about sex, then I mean, they have swingers clubs. They have all types of different things you can do. Why bring a whole nother person into a relationship? That's a whole set of just another person. Like, why? Most likely that person might have kids, if we're talking about our age group, kids, baby father, baggage. Like, I really don't get it unless it was a financial.
And I think too, it's important to acknowledge that marrying for love is pretty new. Like people back in the days when they had arranged marriages, like Brandy said, it was all about the finances. What could the man provide? Was he going to be beneficial for the wife's family as well? People were pretty much selling their daughters off. Let's just be real. When we started introducing love into it, that's where the possession came in. And honestly, it didn't even matter how much money the man had because women look at men as, being just like us, and men are very different. So if women are looking at themselves, and I'm not talking about polyamorous women, because there are women that are capable of loving more than one person. But generally, women, once they love a man or if they're in love with a man, they tend to like hold a place in their heart only for him, and they don't really allow anyone else to occupy that. And because we're looking at it like that from our own individual perspective, it hurts more when a man seeks something else other than us, because then we're looking at it like, oh, he must not love me. He must see something in this other person that he doesn't see in me. And when we do the digging and the searching and discover who this other woman is, then the comparison starts, and we start like saying things like, oh my gosh, like she's nothing like me. Like if he likes her, then he couldn't possibly love me the same. Like we're completely different people, as opposed to like looking at the man as maybe having the ability to compartmentalize those relationships and not try to like conflate them.
Yeah, that's what's up. And then also too, I got a question for y'all. And it was based on what I was when Millie was in another. We was on a she was in Clubhouse, and one of the speakers said something very interesting. He was speaking about people having multiple connections with other people, and I think like a lot of people ignore the fact because I believe you can have multiple connections with other people for different reasons, but and not so much like they could be shortcomings for your current mate, and you might find somebody like maybe you're the dude you're with is not funny, and then you got a homeboy that's funny and you like talking to him because he's funny, and or vice versa. But and then also too that every relationship, even in the poly world, is not a sexual relationship. Sometimes just to fulfill those other empty areas or those areas that are lacking to help shore up everything and make it a complete in the whole situation. So I mean,
Right, Joe. Like people act like, you're going to find everything in one person. That's impossible. And I feel like that's probably the mentality that's keeping a lot of people single, to be honest. Like we're looking for partners that are pretty much perfect, that check off all of the boxes, which is going to be, make things a lot more difficult for you to find, quote unquote, the one, as opposed to opening your perspective and opening your mind that some people just are not capable of giving you what you want. But does that mean that you have to sacrifice it forever? No, it might mean that you might be, if your partner is open, um, find it somewhere else while also not compromising what you already have because you appreciate that as well.
You're right. You're not going to find everything you want in one person. However, when it comes to dating or being in a relationship, marriage, or whatever, long term, short term, we never go into relationships with expectations, right? You want to go in, you don't want to go in wanting exactly everything on your checklist because you already say it to yourself all the time, like, this is kind of impossible. He's not going to have all of these things. So I'll take the good with the okay. When you fall in love, you start to fall in love with things that you didn't even realize you loved or liked about people. So I think that's the whole thing about being in a relationship with one person. It's like you start to like the quirkiness, the snoring, well, not the snoring, but the little things that this person does that you never thought you would accept in a relationship. But because you're in love, you start to love that person, and you love that about them. So you can add another person or two or three into a relationship. I just feel like it gets confusing, and I feel like the whole openness in a relationship, having an open relationship and dating, and it just leaves room for chaos, in my opinion. It leaves room for jealous exes that don't want to leave you alone now. Now you got to deal with that, or just people not wanting to share the other party. You might get into something with someone and they may not want to share you with the original. So it's just too much chaos for me. If that's what it is moving forward in 2023, 24, and everyone is into this open relationship thing, I get it. You don't have ownership over anyone. You should allow people to explore, but when you're done exploring and you're ready to settle down, then I'm the person for you.
But that's the thing, like, not everyone believes in the idea of settling. Like, let's just be real. Like, we only get one life, there's no do overs. And sometimes what we're sacrificing, as far as like our needs, because we're trying to be loyal, maybe to our detriment. And it might be for no reason. Like, I feel like it's important to have that open communication with your partner in the beginning stages throughout the relationship, just to kind of gauge and check the temperature to see where everyone is at. Because you never know what people are going to be open to. You never know if the person is feeling the same way. And at the same time, I will say that a lot of the times men tend to have this idea that what's good for the goose ain't good for the gander. So if you coming at me with, oh, I want to explore and I want to date other people, and we've reached a point in our relationship where things have kind of plateaued and it's a little boring, we're like brother and sister, like whatever dynamic occurs after you've been with someone for a long time, you have to also be open to me wanting to explore and see if I can make those connections as well. Like, because there's a possibility that you're not fulfilling all of my needs. And you should also be okay with that. Like, you can't expect that, I'm going to be okay with you going out and doing these things and then sitting at home feeling salty. And I'm not saying that those type of relationships don't exist, because you do have people that identify as monogamous that are with amorous partners and it works. But if you're also with someone that is willing to explore that, whether it's to make you mad or just because they're trying to find their own identity, you have to be fair and be able to take the treatment that you're getting or trying.
And I got another question too for y'all. So we always talk about the people who have been successful in a completely monogamous relationship and had years and years upon years of being together in a marriage. Would you say is that the norm, or would you say that that's not the norm? And you know, should we look at that as an example? Of course, everybody's going to look at that. That's the key thing that they would want in their lives. But in reality, what would you say? What would y'all give the percentage of that happening nowadays? Not even nowadays, just any time period. Because it's even, I would say, even in the time in the 50s and 60s, before I was even born, there was a lot of strong relationships as well. But a lot of times when I speak to people and couples that have been in those relationships, they always, not all, not almost, almost all, not all, let me see, almost, uh, I can't gay, I say,
Majority of the time.
I ain't gonna say majority because that's a little too much. I want to say about half, almost half of them said that they had their issues when it came to infidelity, and but they worked through it, and and they just, when they, they built and moved on for it. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that we create the norm. A lot of the times we go off of what society is doing and consider that normal. Like, normal is 30-inch eyelashes right now. Like, regardless of the pushback, like, people are doing it and it's normal. It's normal to be a single parent. It's normal to not be married. It's normal to, you know, drink Starbucks. I don't know. Like, I think we just create those norms. And that's why it's important to have open communication with your partner, because y'all really can set the rules for your relationship. If we're not like worrying about what our friends are going to think about us, what our family is going to think about us, and we're living in our truth and we're having that open communication with our partner, we can set the rules. That is my opinion.
Agreed. And that's what I was going to say right after Joe spoke, was that this whole open relationship situationship thing, it doesn't always have to be an open relationship to enjoy certain things in a relationship. Now, like I mentioned before, there's all types of swingers parties, threesomes. Um, you can do so many different things without that word open, or that phrase open relationship. And I think that's where it becomes like taboo, or you start to get afraid, because when you attach that word relationship, it means something. It's like, it triggers. It's like relationship means you have something that's a bond. So if you just say we're open to have fun, explore, and enjoy our relationships, like Millie said, like if you set this is how our relationship is going to be, then it takes the pressure off of everything.
But what if you don't want to be a swinger? Like,
Well,
what if
that's
I want to just have like two husbands or two boyfriends or whatever that are both heterosexual, and I want to experience them individually? Like, why do I have to explore that with my partner? Not knocking people that want to live all under one roof, but what if, because we could create our own realities and our own rules, what if, to me, that looks like having a partner that fulfills my emotional needs and nurtures me and is emotionally available, and then I have someone, but I'm not necessarily like have that chemistry with them, like I'm growing to love them, blah blah blah, but I have also this other person where it's just like electric. It's just like we have fun together, we have great sex, like we're just so connected spiritually and physically. Why should I have to compromise that because I don't want my partner to feel bad? Like, why can't I have them both but separately and enjoy them like individually?
Well, there's so many answers to that one. But yeah, if you want to, I know I'm gonna get hated on for this one. We created social media, and also things like the Bible. hmm And if you put things in there, and society has to follow by it, and that's what they follow by. I feel like it's almost no different than social media when somebody puts a Facebook meme up or something like that on Twitter or Instagram, and somebody just they you agree, it's agreeable, and whatever it fits your idea, then you're gonna roll with it, you're gonna push it, and you're gonna share it. You know what I'm saying? Because you agree with it. And I think that's the same thing when it comes to a lot of the religious books. When because everybody's not on board, but the people that's on board with it, and they're gonna push the agenda that this is correct, basically because I agree with it, but that doesn't apply and doesn't fit for everyone. And I think a lot of people have a hard time dealing with that. And and like I said, I think I've reached a point in my life where I'm not gonna agree with everyone, and I'm not going to change everyone's mind, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But can you think like that? And that's how I look at my relationships and how I value my friendships and things like that. And I feel like everyone could be successful in their own way of thinking, just as long as you understand where you stand, where your values lie, and are you committed to that idea? And like I always say, you're entitled to change your mind at any time in your life. You know what I'm saying? There's no such thing as whatever you decide is set in stone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Anybody
I
can
think
change their
that's
mind.
the problem too. Like a lot of the times we're too attached to our ideas, and we don't even realize why we're attached to them. Like sometimes we're attached to them because we're focusing outward, how we're going to be perceived. What are people going to think of me if I live this certain type of life? And let me just give the disclaimer, this is all hypothetical. I currently do not have two husbands or two boyfriends, so I just wanted to throw that out there. I'm not saying that I'm against it. I'm not saying I'm for it. But yeah. So anyway, back to what I was saying. I feel like, sometimes we're too focused on what people are going to think. And we're kind of pretty much robbing ourselves of all that could be. Like, how do we know that this thing is not something that we're going to like? Are we saying that we're against it because of our morals? Like, is it because you know, we're being religious and it's completely against what we've been taught? Like, it's always, important for us to get to the root of why we have certain thoughts and ideas and ideals or preferences or just a way of thinking.
I think the outside does have a lot of influence on it. But now, like moving into the future, I think people are more open to doing what they want. And I think that's why the gates and the floods are bust wide open with the polygamy and open relationships and being, you know, all the alphabets. I'm not making fun of anybody, but like, all the different um, genders and everybody's out and they're just living their life. So I think we're going to see a lot more of this, to be honest, open relationships, and we may just have to accept it, you know, especially for the single women out there. You might meet a guy and he says, "Hey, listen, I like you, I dig you, I want to be with you, but I've been in a relationship for 20 years, and my partner, whatever that he calls her, she's okay with me dating, and she dates too." So I think it's something that we might just get forced into. And I think the lesson and the work that has to be done is that inner work that Millie brought up earlier, is learning to detach your emotions from your actions, from living your life. Like, you literally have to be selfish, 100% selfish, and think about you and what feels good to you, and just focus on that. And then what your partner is doing is an added bonus. It should always be an added bonus. It shouldn't be an added emotion. It shouldn't be an added stress. It should be an added bonus. So, it's a lot to unpack and it's a lot to think about moving forward into, out there in that dating world. But Joe, I have a question for you. Open relationships. How do you feel if you were married and your wife had another boo on the side, but you knew about it?
Of course, because of how I've been trained by society, that I would have a problem with it. But as I'm getting older, and I've starting to think for myself, and just I would have to ask her the question to understand where she's coming from, what she's looking for, or why she chose to do something like that. Now, is it going to bother me? Of course, it's going to bother me because that's like I said, that's all I've ever known that that's how it should be. But and sometimes we got to relearn some things. You know what I'm saying? And um, I was literally, I don't know if you're familiar. I know I don't think Melly is, but I don't know if you watch Brandy. You ever watch The Shy?
I
And
love The Shy.
and so
I'm the only one that doesn't know about any of
Oh
these shows
gosh,
because
I
I live
was
in a cave.
girl.
so you know what I'm talking
Yes,
about with Evan White. And now they at that point, and at first he was, he had no choice because he loved her, and she kept it real with him for what she was looking for and lacking, with that she was constantly being hurt by him cheating on her, and she had enough, and then he allowed it because he really wanted to be with her, and now at a point it started to become a problem, and it brought it to the head for him to figure out, okay, I don't want this anymore if you're going to continue to do this. And so, I think that the great thing about my girlfriend is that she thinks differently than any woman I've ever dated, pretty much. And she's her friends, and even some of her family members, not family members, her friends, her close friends. I've even witnessed one of her sisters, not her, yeah, her sister, but they're currently in an open relationship. Like they have a great relationship. Like the dude brought the other girl to the wedding, and everybody was good. And you know what I'm saying? And there was no issues, nothing. They was all cool, talking like normal. I didn't even realize what was going on until she told me after the fact. And I was like, "What? That was another chick?" And he was like, "Yeah." And the other girl was the one that he's married to. And I was like, "Wow!" Like to see that in person and work that out. And then when I see them on Facebook, they get together. They're a happy family. They got kids. Like it looks great. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I would have to be a thing like, have an open conversation and be like, "All right, what do you see, or what do you feel like this person has that you need, that you feel like that you want to continue to have this situation with?" So that would just be pretty much a discussion. I don't think I would be as mad anymore, or as so possessive, because like I said, at the end of the day, we're still not married. You know what I'm saying? Like when guys go out and do things like, "Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and go get your car fixed," or "I'm gonna do this and this and that," some things like that, people consider that's something you do when you're married. And I'm like, but who says who made up that idea? You know what I'm saying? Like, why do you gotta only apply certain things to marriage and not just do it because that's who you are? You know what I'm saying? So I think, yeah, like I said, for me, that would be a discussion, just real talk, real discussion. That's where I'm at in my life with that right now.
Yeah, because it always goes back to communication. I think Brandy mentioned something earlier about like sometimes we might just have to accept it, but I don't really feel like that's true either. Like, if there's something that I'm not willing to accept, like, I have to have the guts and the courage to tell my partner, like, I'm not okay with that. And we take it from there. Like, I don't really subscribe to us as women like feeling like living in that lack mentality of feeling like, okay, well, this is the new reality and I have to accept that, men are just out here wanting multiple women, and if I want a man, I'm going to have to submit to that possibility, because there are also men that share those beliefs as far as like just being monogamous and being with one person. So it's important to have that communication and see where you stand throughout the course of the relationship, not just in the beginning, because like Joe mentioned, people change, like people grow, their consciousness expands, and they might discover new things about themselves, but so will their partner at the end of the day. So if you're both like having that communication and those conversations, and you're constantly checking the temperature to see where each other is on different areas, then it might leave room for those discussions. Like you might find out what you're wanting, your partner also wants. But if you're living in fear of, oh, this person is going to reject me, they're not going to want to be with me anymore because of what I want, like you're kind of closing yourself off to them possibly being okay with it.
I got a question for y'all. When it comes to the loyalty department, let's say you was with a dude, whatever, y'all dated, you was completely loyal, you might have other interests. Of course, dudes is always going to try to holler. You probably saw a dude who you remotely was interested in because most women be like, oh, I ain't even thinking about that person, but yeah, consciously you did. Like, oh, he looked good. Oh, he was speaking well, whatever the case may be, and you remain loyal to a dude for a year or maybe 2 years, and then it ends for whatever reason. So at the end of the day, and at the end of that relationship, is the reward for you saying I was loyal to this person for a year or two, and great job, like instead of is that a reward for you? Is like you could say, okay, I was loyal no matter what. He can't tell me nothing. I was always loyal to him. Instead of you having the opportunity to live your life and had, okay, maybe I could have had this person as a friend and learned some things from that person. You know what I'm saying? It may not have been in a relationship tip, or it may not have been on a intimate tip, but I kept them around to learn things from them and learn some more things about yourself as well.
That was a lot to unpack, Joe. What was the question?
I know, right? Um, do you feel like the goal, like if you remain loyal to a person for a year or two, do you feel like it's a badge of honor for you to say I was loyal to him no matter what? Like even though you probably missed out on a lot of opportunities to even, like I said, not even be in a relationship with another man or be intimate with another man, but just knowing that they had something that a person that the dude you're with was lacking. And would you feel like that was just a waste of time to just be loyal, or was it a great thing for you
No,
to do?
I sorry to interrupt you, but I got the question. No, I don't feel like it's a waste of time, but I don't look at it as a badge of honor. I'm a loyal person. That's just who I am in my friendships, family, relationships. So it would never be something for me to throw in your face. I just will internalize it and say, like, this is why I'm not fucking with this person because they're not loyal. And you know what I'm saying? I know what type of person I am. So I can't rock with that type of person anymore. I can't be with that type of person. Um, but I do see what you're saying moving forward. It's like, damn, you know, you're in a relationship for 8 years and you're strictly loyal to this one person, and there's been guys on your job that just wanted to take you out to the bar. Nothing crazy, just to have a drink, but because you have that mentality, like, my husband or my boyfriend will kill me if he finds out I'm out with Tom or whatever, let me take my ass home. You miss out on all those different opportunities, like you said, opportunities to grow, just for conversation, just to have a different male perspective because you were being loyal in a relationship. Um, it's a 50-50 split for me, honestly, because that was my thinking. I'm not even going to lie. That was my thinking, Joe. Like, I'm a loyal person. So therefore, I'm always one up. I'm one up in the relationship because you may have did me dirty, but guess what? B was always loyal. So yeah, it really don't mean shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of the times women, we tend to like keep a tally of all of our good deeds throughout the relationship for that, just for that purpose, to have the badge of honor. And then when it goes to shit, now we're like throwing it in their face and talking about all the things that we've done for them and we didn't get shit in return. But they didn't hold a gun to our head and tell us to be loyal, especially if they weren't exhibiting those same qualities. Like a lot of times women think that they could manipulate a man into being loyal based on their own loyalty. Like, oh, I'm gonna make him love me because I'm going to prove to him that I'm a good person. When, like Brandy said, like, that shit don't matter at the end of the day. Because if he's not giving that commitment and he's not, like, making you his wife, you know, like Joe said earlier, you're a bachelor until you single. A lot of men think like that. And if he's not showing, that's like the ultimate, to me, that's the ultimate display of loyalty when a man makes you his wife. If he's not making you his wife and you've been with him for like 10, 15 years, you know, you the fool. Because nobody is telling you to stay loyal to this man when there's so many possibilities out there of men that are, you know, interested in you and not, you know, trying to hold you hostage. Like, they know you in a relationship. They like, oh, you can't have no friends. You know, I used to get that a lot. Like, I would sometimes I would be lying just because I didn't want to talk to somebody. I'd be like, oh, I'm in a relationship. And a lot of times for guys into you, he don't care. Like, regardless of whatever his yeah, whatever his, you know, objective is, sometimes it's just sex, but sometimes a guy is like really like, especially if he knows you, like he's around you all the time, like sometimes people be like legit interested in you and they don't care. Like, they just want to be in your presence. They want to, you know, experience what it's like to love you. And if you're closing yourself off to somebody, for someone that is not giving you their loyalty and their ultimate commitment, then that's not then you have nobody to blame but yourself, pretty much.
Yeah, because I when I think about it, I used to when I with my ex-wife, we formed when we did get married, we formed a we created a thing of like isolationism, if that's a word, and she did not want me to talk to no women, and she didn't talk to no guys. And I was a dental assistant at the time, so I worked around a bunch of women. I told the women at my job I was married. They was like cool, and they respected that. But we missed out.
Wait, hold on. So you couldn't even say like, pass me the salt?
Like if they call, they couldn't call the house. She couldn't know about it. She knew I had to talk to them at work, but they couldn't call the house. And usually, if they called, it would be about work stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, hey, I'm not gonna be out. I'm gonna be out today. Or hey, could you tell me what happened with this situation with this patient or whatever the case may be? So they was respectful, but she was just like, I don't even want them calling. I was like, damn, all right. I said that's crazy, but I was younger, so I was like, well, this is what my wife wanted, so let me go ahead and go with it. And then, we missed out on so many opportunities. Like there was a time the dentists were paying for the assistants. They was paying for everything. So they was like, hey, all the dental assistants come on out to this club. We got y'all covered. And you could bring an extra person too. We got them covered too. Do you know we did not get that phone call because I told them, hey, my wife don't want y'all to call. And I
They
told
didn't
her,
want.
yeah, I was like, yo, we could have been out there doing that thing, and just because you can't think that I'm just in there just boning every chick at my job, like that's not how it goes. And I never gave her that impression either, because everybody be like, well, what you do to her to make her believe that? I'm like, no, that's how she was, and because I was like, I went home, I went to work, and I never went anywhere in between. And when I did that, even if I did go somewhere, I went with her. You know what I'm saying? I always included her because that was my wife. And then after a while, she stopped coming with me to places, and she just was like, okay. And then, but for some reason, she always felt like a reason to find an accusation, like, oh yeah, you must be doing something or meeting girls at your sister's house. My sister knows I'm married, so I'm not gonna meet girls at my sister's house. You know what I'm saying? So it just then I learned that it was an insecurity in with her. And I think there was one incident that probably did happen, but that was not my fault. And that was because I was a bachelor. I was single. I had my own spot before I met her. And I did used to date heavy. And she said one day one of these chicks came to the door knocking, looking for me. And I guess she let her know that, hey, I'm his wife. So I was like, I ain't got no control over that because I don't know who it
Damn, she just walked up to the crib. She didn't even call, send a text, a beep beep, nothing. Just
I was popping
oh
then. I was really.
She
shit.
was trying to see if that thing was still
Word.
famous.
Shit. She walked all the way from Milwaukee.
Boy, man, they pop. Yes, I had that happen a few times in a lot of different spots. Like girls would just randomly pop up, and yeah, because they probably
Damn,
lost my
Joe is
number.
like that?
Nah. That was back in the day. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So your ex-wife, no matter what you could have brought her to work with you. You could have sat her right there. She could have had every password to your phone, your emails. It was an insecurity thing. So, and that had nothing to do with you. Even if the girl knocked on the door during the marriage, it's just nothing and that just goes to show, like Millie said, you can literally set the tone of your relationship. You should set the tone of your relationship from the beginning. Because if you would have in the beginning said, listen, I have female friends and they're my co-workers and this is what it is. We still getting married, she probably would have been like, oh, like she couldn't say nothing. So yeah, it's really important to set that tone in the beginning and let it be known, like I'm the king of the castle, my balls are swinging. Nah, I'm the king of the castle and you're my queen, but this is how we're gonna have it. Mutual respect, and we both understand each other. And if it's an open relationship, then if you with it, then if you're not, then there's.
And I think it goes down to like just the possessiveness, like we was talking about earlier in the podcast, where, if you think about like a parent that tries to possess their child and holds on to them so damn tight, it's like overbearing, helicopter mom, just like you can't, where you going, what time you coming back, you got to be home this time. It's like the more you hold on to someone, the more they want to get away. And who the hell wants to be, I mean, that's a parent child dynamic that I'm talking about. Those situations we pretty much have no control over until we're an adult. Hopefully we can break away from the clutches and the grips of our parents. But in a relationship, definitely a double hell no. Because it's like, I want to be with somebody who is, interested in being with me on their own free will. If I feel like I gotta force you to love me or force you to be with me and you only with me because you don't want to hear my mouth, like, how is that satisfying? I remember asking my ex a very important question before I left his ass. Like, I was like, are you with me? Do you feel like you're obligated to me? And he told me yes. And that was all the answer I need. And he was saying it like with confidence, like he said the right answer. And I was just like, this shit is horrible. Like, I don't want nobody with me because
maybe
they feel obligated. Like, damn, what am I, like a sentence? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It just goes back to the communication. Like, you got to see, we pretty much know our partners, like when we bring up certain situations, certain scenarios, how they react, like if they're like just jealous over, if we looking at somebody, we already know it might be an issue, but we ignore those signs. And then later on in the relationship, when it rears this ugly head, now we want to sit there and act all confused when this person clearly was showing signs of insecurity, clearly showing signs that they weren't even capable of allowing us to just exist outside of them in the relationship, which is scary shit. Like, who the hell wants a partner that's gonna have a tracking device on a car and a phone? Like, come
yeah, that's real talk. And then especially for me, I think it's the isolation part that bothers me. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't talk to other people of the opposite sex. Like that's crazy. And within itself, because like I said, everybody's not a potential mate. You know what I'm saying? People or you generally could just have friends, and and that's what it just be. And like I said, you could like your friends for different reasons, as far as what they bring to the table for you as a person, and doesn't mean you're gonna be in a relationship with them. Doesn't mean you're gonna have sex with them. But and I think that was one of the key things with me and my girlfriend when we first got to the point of discussing getting into a relationship. She made it clear for me, like, hey, I got friends, I got male friends. If I wanted to be with them, I would have been with them. I'm with you. So and I know you got female friends and you got people that you met before me. So and we're in their lives for different reasons, and they help us for different reasons, and you know what I'm saying. And I'm not trying to get rid of that aspect. So I just need you to be understanding that this is, some guys are going to reach out to me, some girls are going to reach out to me. I'm not going to be going through your phone. I don't expect you to go through mine, and we basing it this off of trust, that because if something goes down, it's going to come to light. And me being who I was, I was like, okay, that makes sense to me. You know what I'm saying? It took a little while to adjust to it because I wasn't used to that kind of freedom of that. So um I just, I was just like, yo, like I really respected her for saying that, because I never heard a woman put it in that perspective. You know what I'm saying? So that's just an interest. Yeah, that was just an interesting thing I wanted to put out there. Like, the isolation part was the one thing that I hated about being in that marriage.
Well, I'm glad that you're free now, Joe, and out of jail. Sounds horrible. I mean, I feel like if we can all be honest, we've all either been in that situation, been, someone tried to control us, or we were the controlling person. I know personally, I've definitely been on both sides, and neither side felt good during. So if you have that opportunity to experience, what it feels like to be possessed, or what it feels like to try to possess, like, that should be what's going to determine how you're moving forward in your adult life. Having adult relationships and interactions. Like, if you already know what didn't work, then we know what we can do to have healthier relationships and interactions in the future. And I'm always going to go back to communication, because what's the worst that could happen? A person tells you no, I'm not with it, and then either you have to make the decision at that point. Are you willing to, just end the situation because you're like, my needs and desires are more important, this is not something I want to sacrifice? Or are you going to say, like, look, I'm going to stay with this person because I really love them and I care about them, and the shit that I want, maybe it doesn't really matter, but it's all about the communication, so y'all both could be on the same page.
Yeah, that's dope right there. Being on the same page is key. I think that's a part of the evolution of a relationship now, is just to be communication, 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 and especially starting something new and drive it home. Like, hey, this we need to have the sit down discussion, and a real talk discussion, and like, take it or leave it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's part of now. That's going to be a new part of looking at it, and a new evolution in relationships and dating. Open relationship options.
I feel like we always kind of somehow, I think probably what, season 2, 3, and 4, we always had like some episode in there with polygamy. And I'm just questioning what it is. Are we like repressing our desires to be polygamous? Or is this just
Oh,
something for content? Like, what is it? The people will never know.
exactly. How many licks does it take? No. Um, I think everyone is curious about that type of lifestyle because it is something, intriguing about it. But like you said, we got the outside looking in, Big Brother, morals, and all that jazz. So we tend to stick to the norm, and we don't like to color outside the box because we don't want to be looked at as, abnormal or weird. So yeah, only time can tell. I feel like as you get older, you lose more of that. What is it called? When people are watching you, you just don't give a f anymore, and you just do you. So as you get older, I think that's where most of those relationships, I've seen most of those people, like, they're in their like 50s, 60s. They're living their life and having fun, titty swinging, sagging,
Yeah, I
balls
was
dragging.
just thinking about that. Like, when people describe going to like nudist colonies or nude beaches, it's always like older people that have reached that point in their life where they just don't give a damn anymore. They don't give a fuck. Like they just like, you know what? I'm old. Like my parents is probably gone, and I don't got nobody judging me. I don't. They most of them don't even have social media. Um, but it's like it's something to aspire to. And I don't think that we have to wait until we're 60 or 80 to stop caring about what people think about us. Like if we can do that without having like, you know, tragic situations where we don't have the parents or the social network judging us. If we can still have those things and still live in our truth fearlessly, that's how we know we've grown as a person. And we could probably inspire people to live in their damn truth because they're waiting for somebody else to break out the box and give them permission to be who they are. You know, so you never know who you're inspiring.
No question about it.
I agree. Well, it's been a wonderful night, a wonderful topic. Love talking to you guys. Love having this dialogue, and Millie for opening my eyes to learning how to detach emotions from actions and allowing people to be their own self. Um, so I appreciate that. I appreciate Joe, your input and your stories always keep me going. I love it. And Vanessa, thank you for listening to our show
Yeah,
and
she's
our
been
madness.
riding the
And
whole podcast with us
yeah,
in the
she's a
audience.
ride desire. Yes. So we'll be back next week, or maybe the end of this week. Who knows? But we definitely will be around, more topics, and hope to see you there. Later, everyone.
Yeah, we definitely. She's
Oh,
not gonna let us. Me and Joe give our closing words. She like ready
I
to
said, oh,
log
no,
off.
no, no,
You know
no.
that
I'm
Joe? She's
sorry.
like, okay, bye.
I
You
did
know
not
how
mean to
B be
do
like the
that.
first one to click off.
I know.
So I did. I definitely appreciated this podcast today because y'all know we low key be using this as a therapy group therapy session. And it's nice to like be able to listen back on our growth, you know, and see how far we've come with just changing our perspective or even expanding our perspective. It's pretty cool, and I love, you know, just being on the podcast with B and Joe. Like it's cool. I stuttered a little bit because I was like, was I gonna call her by her real name? I mean, said Brandy a couple of times, but you know, I'm Melissa, so hey, whatever. Um, but yeah, Joe, do you have any closing words?
Yes, I had a great time having a discussion. I just want everybody to let it be known that I was the one who pushed this agenda. To
Cat's out the bag.
Come
have this
through, Joe,
conversation.
with the accountability. I was trying to keep it, you know, discreet, but go ahead.
But yeah, like I said, that's why I like talking to y'all about this because we could talk about everything and anything, and even when it's taboo. And and people, the thing that we're lacking out here is education, 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 and the ability to listen and hear other perspectives instead of the ones that we have been grown and taught and grown up on, and just keep an open mind. You know what I'm saying? That's just pretty much what I'm gonna say for the night. Keep an open mind.
Yes, thank you so much, Joe, for that. We appreciate you too, and you know, all love. But I wanted to like, you know, just before we close this out. When I opened up the podcast when I was waiting for everyone to join, I did give like the little commercial, but I'll say it again. Please make sure that you're following us on all social media. YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple iTunes, uh Podbean, like we're literally everywhere. Instagram, yes, Instagram. Mel B's Tea and a Cup of Joe. I think we're even on Twitter.
Yes,
Like we're
Leon.
not really active on Twitter, but yeah, if you type in Mel B's Tea and a Cup of Joe, literally just on Google, you'll probably find us everywhere. So definitely follow us.
Word, and we're definitely popping because we got hit with music copyright infringement. So somebody,
Don't be talking about legal issues.
We out here. We putting our name on the map. Our name is being mentioned in rooms we ain't even walking yet.
That's
Okay.
right. But yes.
all
But
right,
yes. guys. I look forward to the next podcast, everyone.
Yes,
Same. Later.
Later, y'all.